name is Kara Day. I'm a student at Indiana University East. I'm actually going for elementary education. I've got a couple more years on my roll before I get to actually teach, but remember when all of you were in school and taking the big history test, getting ready for it, studying and worrying all day and night up until you walked into the classroom, and then finally frantically sorting through your notes to get every last bit of information crammed into your head before the professor slammed that test down on your desk. Imagine having this anxiety going through your head for not just a day, but for a week and a half, and having it go on twice a year, and having the pressure of not only your academic success, but also the academic success of your school laying on your shoulders. These children go through that. We might not see it like that, and they might not see it like that, but that's what it boils down to. It's no wonder that most children have anxieties about taking standardized tests like the ISTEP Plus. And testing can be a very stressful process for children, but there are ways in which parents and teachers can help ease these tensions. As both a student of elementary education at Indiana University East and a mother of two, one of which is school age, she's not ISTEP age yet, but she is school age, she's getting there, I have read about and comprehend how the stress of these high-stakes tests can affect a child. In order to understand why children have such anxieties about the test, I will talk about the ISTEP Plus test, about what it is and what it measures. I will then talk about what can affect children's test scores and give ideas on how parents and teachers can help alleviate some of the stress. So let's start with what the ISTEP Plus test is and what it's used to measure. The ISTEP Plus, or Indiana Statewide Testing for Educational Progress Plus, measures what students know and are able to do at each grade level in core academic subjects, according to the Indiana Department of Education. The ISTEP Plus test also provides a learning checkup to make sure students are on track and signals any problem areas that may need attention. ISTEP Plus testing takes place twice in the spring. The first half of the test is being administered right now until March 10th. The second half takes place from April 26th to May 5th. Students in grades 3 through 10 are tested with some kind of ISTEP test. In addition to providing a look at where schools and students are academically, standardized tests like the ISTEP Plus also have a significant impact on a school's assessment and their funding, as well as determining a child's class placement and even grade promotion. Now that I've explained a little bit about what the ISTEP Plus test is, we'll move on to what can hinder a child's performance on the test. I've got everything's on the handout too. A few things that have been said to contribute to a child's performance on the test, according to Shama Narang of Scholastic. Conditions in testing room, how well the school curriculum fits the material, test-taking abilities, sleeping and eating habits can all affect a child's score. Since the main aspects that we as parents have some control over are getting enough sleep and getting the proper breakfast, I wanted to concentrate on how important those really were to a child's success on tests. Shama Narang says that teachers notice that students who struggle the most on testing days are those who haven't had enough sleep or didn't get a proper breakfast. When talking about the proper amount of sleep, there's kind of a gray area there. Nobody really knows what's wrong, what's enough, and what's too much. According to Cornell psychology professor James B. Moss, between the 7th and 8th hour of sleep is the most critical for kids and adults. This is when we get almost an hour of REM, which is rapid eye movement sleep. During REM sleep, the mind repairs itself, grows new connections, and puts it all together. Moss also goes on to say that research shows that children who regularly sleep 9 hours perform better in school, are happier, and are less likely to have weight or emotional problems later on in life than those who try and function on less amount of sleep. Some ideas on how to maximize restful sleep are to cut caffeine after 2 p.m., establish a calming bedtime routine such as reading a book, make sure the child stays active but not too active too close to bedtime. You want to make sure that any strenuous activity is done at least 3 hours before bedtime so that the child is not too alert to go to sleep. The other aspect I want to touch on is the importance of a good breakfast the day of the test. According to doctors Laura Jana and Jennifer Shue, kids who eat breakfast have better test scores, school attendance, and moods. Also, they have longer attention spans and better memory than those who do not take time for breakfast. You can see how lack of sleep and lack of breakfast can affect a child's test scores. Now that we know what has an effect on children's test scores, let's take a look at some ways parents and teachers can help students feel less stress on the testing day. Although parents cannot be at school with their child during the test, there are some steps a parent can take before the test to ease the child's anxieties. In addition to making sure the child has a good night's sleep and a proper breakfast, educator Crystal Pratt suggests making sure the child has all the proper testing materials, such as pencils and erasers, calculators if necessary, paper, anything that they're going to need to use on the test. Letting the child talk about any fears or hesitations that they have about the test and to help keep things in perspective for them. Also, after testing, plan a fun outing or a special treat of some sort to help lift the pressure from the child. Other tips for a child's test-taking success from child psychologist Jacqueline Brown are to encourage good study habits and challenge critical thinking skills. Teach a child some relaxation tips such as taking deep breaths or counting to 10. Also, even though you as a parent may be nervous or anxious about your child's performance on the test, be wary not to let those feelings transfer onto your child, because this will just increase their anxiety. Teachers can also help students perform well on tests by doing just a few things. Scholastic posted 6 tips for nipping test stress, which included doing plenty of practice tests, promoting positive attitudes about testing, dealing with basic roadblocks such as tardiness, lack of sleep, or inadequate breakfast. Look out for daydreamers and see easily distracted students in cubicles and corners, and talk about checking work during the last few minutes of testing, and plan a fun day of test activities to do before the test, such as Simon Says or Heads Up 7-Up. These are just a few activities that can be done to help children perform their best on standardized tests. In conclusion, testing time can be a very stressful time for children of all ages. Parents and teachers can do simple tasks to help alleviate some of the stress and pressure children feel. If we all follow just a few of these steps, then our children and students can become better students and better test takers. Children shouldn't have the pressures of the whole school on their shoulders, but since this is the case, we need to do what we can to ease their tensions.
Breathe.
So, I know, he gave me the 1 minute, and I was like, okay.